Hey there, it's the items for Milestone. Welcome to this brand new The Sims 4 speed build. So today I'm building another around the world speed build, and today I'm building a house from the continent of Africa, and to be specific, South Africa, because as you maybe know, I went to South Africa this summer, and therefore whenever I go to a new country, I always find it fun to create an around the world speed build for that particular country. And sometimes it's very hard because the country doesn't really have a particular style of architecture, but in this case of South Africa, that's definitely not true, because there is a very typical South African kind of architecture. The architecture I'm talking about is the Cape Dutch architecture, which is particularly fun for me because, hey, I'm Dutch, and it was sort of introduced by the Dutch people who came on land in South Africa whenever we traveled to Indonesia to like do trade and stuff. And not everything that happened there was good, but we did bring the architecture to that part of South Africa, and therefore nowadays you see, whoops, I bumped the table. Therefore nowadays you do see a lot of this kind of architecture in this particular area in South Africa. So as you see right here, I've gotten started very quickly, which is because whenever I do an around the world speed build, I always sort of plan them. I generally never plan houses except for the around the world speed builds, and by planning I mean I just start building without recording, and then I try to get the base done, and I try to get or make sure that the most typical part or the most typical aspect of what I want to create is possible. And once I know that it's possible to create a typical house for that country, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a speed build on it. And I must say this one was pretty hard because this is what I tried to recreate. This is actually where I stayed in last summer. This was in Stellenbosch, and this is one of the typical wine houses which you've got there. You've got very many wine houses which are all white, very colonial, very special sort of. They're like they're not necessarily big, but they look impressive, and they're white always, often have only one level. And then what is important is that all the houses always have like a main entrance in the middle, which is like very impressive as well, and then a roof above it, which is typical, which was actually a very big challenge to create in The Sims, because we do not really have like those curved roof objects which I could use for this. So therefore I had to be creative, and in the end it didn't really, it brings across the idea and the concept, I guess, but it is not very accurate. So I'm sorry if you're South African and you're like, this is not accurate. Yeah, indeed, it might not be the most accurate representation, but at least it does allow me to create a South African house, I guess. And also I still think it is like pretty cool, and it looks sort of, it really creates the same vibe sort of. It is really different though, but yeah, I still think it's pretty cool. Also, what I want to stress is that I do call this a South African house, but realize that this is first of all for a very specific region, and also these are often not even used as houses anymore. There are people who live in them, but often they're actually turned into wine houses, which you could consider houses as well. I mean, they're called wine houses, but they're not necessarily all houses anymore. So it's not very normal for people in South Africa to live in a house like this, because first of all, they're super expensive, or at least I believe they are. So yeah, of course, as you know, South Africa is a country with a huge diversity when it comes to the rich and the poor, and like a huge difference between these. And here I'm definitely building a house for like the more rich people, but this is a very typical style of architecture for this area. So that's the reason why I decided to create a house like this one. But please do bear in mind that this is not the way that every South African lives, and they might all want to live like this, but unfortunately that's not possible. But it is like very typical, so that's the reason I decided to build this. Also, this is something I experienced very closely because I got to stay in a hotel which was based in something like this, which was really fun because I really felt like I was like drawn back into time, because in the Netherlands you always learn about like our colonial history, and also with like we were taught about when we actually went to South Africa, to Cape Town, with Cape Good Hope and the trade we did there, and all that kind of history sort of. And all those history lessons came back to me when I was in South Africa. Normally I'm not really into history, to be honest, and I don't know too much about it, but this is something every Dutch child learns about, and therefore this place is a very like special feeling, or at least that's what it felt like to me, because you're really the house I stayed in was actually like 300 years old, and there was like a huge table. You'll see it later on in the video as well. And I played some cards there, and then I was sitting there and I imagined what it was like back then when people actually like lived there, and what it was like to live in that time sort of. That was really a moment normally I would, whenever you would get the question, would you prefer to see the future or would you prefer to like be able to live in the past for like 24 hours? Normally I would always choose the future, but at that moment I was like, I'm so curious what life was like back then and what happened in this house and in this place. I'm not sure if this is sort of a coherent story, but maybe you get across or you get the point I'm trying to make. And I can't be the only one who gets a feeling like this whenever you stay in like an old house or an old building in general. But yeah, this is a house which is located in Stellenbosch, because this is really quite an accurate representation of that specific house, which I showed a picture of previously or earlier in this video. So yeah, it's Stellenbosch. You've got like the wine region a little bit north of Cape Town, and you've also got Franschhoek and like very many other little cities where you've got like very many wineries, and where winemaking was really back then and still is like a very big industry for them. And it's very close to Cape Town, which is pretty cool. I actually took a picture. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it in here, but on that picture you like very clearly see Table Mountain, like from the garden of the place I stayed in, where you've got the lavendel, and then in the background, sort of blurred, you see Table Mountain, which was really impressive because Table Mountain is, as you probably know, like the icon of Cape Town, and it's so cool. I actually went on Table Mountain as well. It's one of like the things to do in Cape Town, and you've got a cable car. You can also walk or hike up there, but that's like, I heard it's a very tough hike, so I didn't do that one. I did hike up Lion's Head though, and there I got like the coolest picture ever. It's on my Instagram, which you can check out, by the way. It's at Dutch Sims Master. Would be really cool if you'd follow me there. But yeah, that was epic because yeah, it was like a 1.5 hour hike to get up there, and from there you actually see the city, the Camps Bay, the 12 Apostles, which are really cool as well. They're just behind Camps Bay, and also you see Table Mountain from there. So that was just generally, Cape Town is such a cool city because it's got beautiful nature, but it also like sort of the city vibe around the V&A waterfront. And I actually also visited the Silo Hotel. Maybe people who've been to Cape Town or people who live there will definitely know the Silo Hotel. Now I might be going a little bit too in depth, sort of. Everyone knows Table Mountain. People will probably not know the Silo Hotel. But that was like, okay, I'll just explain it a bit. It was initially just some industrial area. I believe there was a factory or something like that with like huge silos, obviously. And then they had a wick. Was it Hedwig? Yes, that's an architecture firm. They actually retransformed that into a hotel, but like in a very cool way. And now it's like a very industrial place and very tall. It's like sort of a skyscraper. Might be one of the tallest buildings in the skyline of Cape Town. And from there you've got like insane views, but I wanted to check it out. But it's like a 5-star hotel, so pretty exclusive. So initially when I saw this on the internet, I thought, okay, I want to see it. But I wasn't expecting to get up there because they've also got a rooftop bar, and I personally love rooftop bars, so I thought maybe it's possible, but I thought it's a 5-star hotel, so probably not. But yeah, I actually just went there and then asked at the reception if it was possible to go to the rooftop bar. They said, yeah, no problem. And I went in the elevator, and then it turned out that the rooftop bar wasn't actually outdoors because it's winter, so it was a little bit cold to be outdoors, so they didn't have everything set up there. But then I thought, okay, there was also the possibility to go even higher, so I went there, and there I was welcomed by someone, like some security man, and normally you'd see that people would say, okay, can you just like leave this area because this is like private, or at least it's not open right now. But instead he said, oh, do you want to go even higher? And then he showed us a place, and he actually opened like a gate for us to get even higher. And then in the end we were like on top of that building, where they actually even had an infinity pool looking out over the city, which is like totally crazy. Yeah, it was like so insane to be on top of that building and actually see like Cape Town all around you. And what I found even more amazing was the fact that this man was so nice to us and actually really tried to help. And that's generally what I noticed with the South African people. They're so friendly and they're genuine. They're like, whenever they say something, they mean it, and they're not nice because they have to in order to get like tips. But they're nice because they really are nice, and they make jokes, and it's just so nice to talk to them, and they're so super friendly. That's just what I really noticed in like South Africa, like in its entirety. But this was like one particular moment where I was like, okay, this just really confirms it. Also, if you're ever in Cape Town, you should definitely go to Robben Island. First of all, it's like a very good place to learn more about the history, which is of course very important about the apartheid. But also, that's just something totally different. But from the ferry to the island, you've actually got like one of the best views over the city, sort of, because you're on the sea then, and you see Cape Town and Table Mountain and Lion's Head lying just behind there, which is totally cool. So yeah, I actually didn't have in mind that that would be a beautiful ferry ride, but it was seriously like, it looked so cool that I would definitely advise that. That's like an even extra reason to go to Robben Island. So yeah, and Stellenbosch was really cool as well. There I stayed in a place like I'm building over here, where you've got very many of these wineries around there, which is what I'm trying to recreate in the video right now. The moment I was there, because it was winter, there weren't very like clear wine areas, or at least, you know, there weren't growing at that moment. But still, this is what it would look like, I think, in their summer, sort of. And then it must look even more beautiful, I think. But I mean, I tried to sort of recreate this, and I think in the end it really turned out to look cool. And I really always like to sort of recreate the environments and the surroundings as well whenever I do these around the world speed builds. That really adds like an extra vibe to it, in my opinion. So that's like really cool. And I think it worked out fine with this one as well. So yeah, also those tall, are they cypress trees, I believe. I'm not sure if you call them that way in English, but they are really cool. Oh, and by the way, it's sort of strange that I only come up with this in like minute 12 of the video, but I've passed 100,000 subscribers. And the reason I'm not really making that much of a big deal of it is, first of all, because there is still going to be a special video about it. Also because I'm going to do a giveaway, or at least I'm currently figuring everything out for the giveaway. But I'm planning on giving away quite some Sims expansion packs because I've hit 100k. So first of all, I want to thank all of you. I'll do that later on again. But also, it's not really been that much of a big deal because I've been very busy. So I still got to do like an Instagram post to thank all of you for letting me pass 100k, which is like still like insane to realize. And the crazy thing is that I hit it the moment, or in the morning of the day I hit it, I got back from San Francisco from SimsCamp, because I've been there as well. I think I'll dedicate another video to my experiences there, and I'm probably also going to upload a vlog, or at least I still have to edit everything and see if I've got enough footage. But I've done my best to create some kind of video to give you an impression of what it was like. So that might be coming up later, but if not, then I'll make a speed build again and then ramble about that trip. But that was crazy because, first of all, I've been traveling crazy much recently. Like, you might think, whoa, is this guy rich? Well, no, but you know, this was, first of all, the San Francisco trip was like an EA thing, so it was sort of sponsored. And normally I wouldn't travel this much, but now it like came all in like a couple of months, which is crazy. But like the morning I came back, and then that evening I actually celebrated hitting 100k together with some friends, which was a lot of fun. And it's still crazy to realize that I've managed to hit that number, and it's all thanks to you. So yeah, I'm going to talk more about that later on in like another video, but I just only realized that I hadn't actually said anything about it yet, like anywhere except for Twitter, so maybe I should have. Yeah, I should still do like a celebratory like Instagram post, but I just haven't yet because I don't know what to post because it's something so special. But like, what do you post for such a thing? I don't know. But yeah, maybe by the time this video is online, I have actually posted something to celebrate 100k. I don't know. But anyways, at this moment, I've started doing the interior. Maybe I should have talked more about the house, but I believe I've said quite a lot about this architecture already. But this is the table I mentioned a little bit previously in like the anecdote I told about the fact that I was wondering what life would be like 300 years ago when people actually lived in this house as well. And yeah, I was actually playing cards on that table at that moment. Or at least that table in real life, not in The Sims, just to make sure you're aware of that. And then something very typical for these houses, or at least I noticed that in this one in particularly, is that in the middle you've really got an open area, sort of. That's where you've got the dining room, and then that is like the middle, like the main part of the house, and from there you can actually access the rest of the house. So around that you've got the kitchen and also the bedrooms. So I try to also think about the floor plan for this around the world speed build, which is something I haven't really done for other ones because there wasn't always such a typical thing. But for this house, there definitely was like a typical layout. Yeah, I think it's cool how you can actually, when you enter the house from the front, immediately like look into the back and also see the pool from there. And actually in the front, you've also got like a really long or like extremely long pond in the middle and some fountains. So like that's cool, and that's like very typical in my opinion. It is a really cool kind of architecture because it's traditional, but still actually if you look at it, quite modern because it's so wide, and also because you've got these pools and those trees lined up the way they are. So yeah, I hope it all comes across sort of like fairly okay. You can download this house from the gallery. You've got to look for gallery ID Dutch Sims Master, and then you should be able to download this house and just put it in your own game and use it, which should be a lot of fun. So yeah, by the way, in San Francisco, I already spoke about it a little bit. I went to Sims Camp where I got to play The Sims 4 Cats and Dogs. So the brand new expansion pack for The Sims 4, which is like totally super cool. The fact that I got to go there, and I'm going to make more videos about that pack sometime soon, but there are some embargoes which I've got to meet, so therefore I'm not able to upload everything at once. But I can tell you that I've got some cool videos coming up for all of you with more information about the pack. And yeah, I hope you look forward to that because I find it a lot of fun to actually be able to go there, to be invited to go all the way to San Francisco, which was literally like the biggest dream I ever had with regards to YouTube. I think that dream it was definitely bigger than hitting 100k actually, because it's so crazy to be able to travel that far for like this hobby which sort of got out of hand, and also to meet other simmers, which was a lot of fun because, you know, in the past couple of years you have actually, or I had quite some contact with people in the community on Twitter, and I've done some videos with some people, and it's a lot of fun to actually meet those people in person then and be able to talk about YouTube and other stuff. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun, seriously. One of like such a cool week. I'm very sad that it's over, and it was very hard to get used to actually getting back and starting uni like the day after I got back, or at least, no, I had one free day, and then the day after I had to actually start my first week at university, because I skipped my first week because I was in San Francisco, which was sort of crazy as well, but it was definitely worth it. Alright, so about the house, it's got 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, or at least 1 real bathroom and 1 like small bathroom, which is only a toilet. Looking at the floor plan right now, I actually realized that I've not really created a very good floor plan, because one of the bathrooms or like the main bathroom is actually en suite, and I realized that the other bathroom actually, or the other bedroom, doesn't have its own ensuite bathroom. So therefore, if they want to have a shower, they actually have to get into the other bedroom to go and have a shower. So maybe I should have changed something about that. And also, I've not added any wine racks. Okay, how the do I pronounce that? But so, you know what I mean probably by now. But I should have added those as well. But since wine is like such a typical thing for this area, yeah, maybe I should have mentioned that or put those in the house as well. But if you're downloading this, you should remember that if you've got the expansion, which the wine racks come with, because I believe they come with an expansion, that you should actually add those, because I forgot it. But yeah, South Africa in general, like I said, this is like only a part of South Africa. I've also only talked about part of it, mainly the Cape Town area, but I've actually also, I've traveled like across the entire country. Also went to the Kruger Park where I did some safaris, and also did like game drives in other parks, which was like a lot of fun. I didn't know like up front that doing safaris would be that much fun, and actually spotting wild animals could be that much fun. But seriously, it creates such a crazy feeling of excitement whenever you actually spot like a wild animal and then you're able to like see it up close. It is indescribable. But I have also taken very many pictures, so once again you can check those out on my Instagram, because I really like to take photos, and this was definitely a trip where I could take like crazy photos, so I did. And I think they really turned out to be nice, especially like close-ups from animals. That's sort of the thing I try to do a lot, because I've bought a camera before I went, which was like particularly good at zooming in, and that actually created some really cool shots. Especially one photo of the buffalo is like one of my favorites, even though the buffalo isn't like, in my opinion, not like the coolest animal in the big five. I mean, personally, I think the lion is cooler at least. But yeah, that photo of the buffalo it's got like flies all around it turned out to be really cool. You should check it out. But anyways, here I'm working on like the last bedroom, I believe. As you can see, this is the bedroom without an ensuite bathroom. But maybe generally you would like to have like a bigger floor plan anyways, and then you could add a basement, because I'm not sure if the house is in Stellenbosch, or at least in South Africa, these South African houses, if they actually have cellars or basements, I mean. But maybe they do, and then it would be cool to add them. But I didn't in this case. Also here I added a little library, because with a fireplace, because it can get sort of cold there in winter, and then with a fireplace on, it's like a really relaxed place to read. Also, that sort of brings back that historic vibe, sort of, which I thought was cool, because back then they weren't like looking on their iPads and stuff, but they were actually reading books. So yeah, I sort of try to get that vibe into the house. But anyways, there is an overview coming up. I really have to get back to, or get used to being back at making voiceovers, because it is something which I'm not sure if this was a good one, but I hope you thought it was fun. And if you did, please leave a like on this video. Also subscribe, because we're like heading straight onto 200k. And then I hope to see you back in another video later. Goodbye.